ones you conflicted for, Jamie? Which ones are your conflict?
The only one on the open agenda is, I think, the only one on the open agenda, I believe it's item 6 on strategy.
No, that's
finance.
fine. Okay, so item 1, investigating development contributions rebate for minor residential units, moved by Jamie. I'll second that. Is there any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Item number 2. Sorry, where is it? Is the corporate finance report for the period ending 30th of April 2015. Moved by Jamie, seconded by me. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Performance report for 10 months to the 30th of April 2015. I'll move that, seconded by Jamie. Yanni?
Just under the further information about the district plan reviews, unbudgeted costs and what cost controls are in place. I don't know if we've had any information back on that, but I'd really like to understand it, given that we are incurring huge costs and I think having huge rate impacts for this unbudgeted cost.
There's a paper coming to strategy and finance on that next strategy and finance meeting.
Yeah. So the committee requested further information around the district plan reviews, unbudgeted costs, and asked what cost controls are in place, and that's coming to the next meeting.
But, I mean, I guess a fundamental question is, do we have any cost controls in place? Because between now and then... Yes, but the
committee's asked for that, and the report's going back to the committee. Yeah, so there's no point having a debate about it here. We're going to receive that at the next meeting.
I'm just worried that between now and when we receive the report, further costs are incurred that have a rates impact that is not something that we...
Well, we've already decided in the long-term plan that would be absorbed within the strategy and planning budget. So it won't be going over the line without an agreement from this council. So it will come back here for a decision if that is to be the case. But at this stage, we decided as a council that it would be absorbed within that budget. Paul?
Just noted on 4.5, and I just want to get clarification from perhaps Peter. This, permanent debt reduction of 26 million, that obviously is going to have a positive impact on our long-term plan? No?
The date of this report was 30th of, is that the end of 30th of April? So all the news that we knew 30th of April has been able to be included within the long term. It would have, it's improved it if we hadn't had it. Yeah. It's already there.
It would have been worse if it hadn't happened that way. Right. Glenn?
Yeah, thank you. If I can ask, okay, so 30th of April, because when you read it, it's, it looks like a June report. But at that point in the executive summary, if I got it right, that the savings came to about $500 million, 500 million. That's page 129, when the variances are totaled.
I mean, if you look at the headline for item 3, it says performance report for the 10 months to 30 April 2015. So okay. I don't know how that looks like a June report.
No, that's fine. Well, yeah, it's just our lag.
Yeah, it is, but we're reporting. We were reporting in June for the previous quarter. That's the trouble. So we'll report on the next quarter. In what, 2 months' time? Yeah. I
think there's quite, if I can say, quite a pattern emerging. You look at pages 165 to 166. 30 out of 43 paragraphs in the notes contain the words delay, carried forward, savings, favourable variance, lower, behind, reduced. Now, I can't necessarily see that changing radically.
Well, except that we've got the entire capital program review, which is
okay. Quite good.
Which is work that we have to be doing. All right. Any other questions? I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Next item the earthquake claims update as at 30th of April 2015. I'll move that. Jamie can second it. Yanni?
I don't want details. I know that it's sensitive, but have we got any idea about an insurance settlement or any sort of reporting back timeframes for when we might be in a position of having more detail?
What can you say publicly, Peter?
I don't think I can say anything publicly on that, other than the process we work through is to provide updates and gain guidance from the insurance subcommittee around the progress, around the actions we're taking, to make sure that we expedite it as fast as we can to get the best result we can. And I know that doesn't give you any detail at all to go on, Councillor Johansson, but that's probably all I can talk about at this point.
In terms of timing, in terms of our capital program review, obviously that has quite a big impact. Are we going to be in a position by the end of the year to have any kind of growth?
It's why we flag it as one of our key uncertainties around the timing of our debt profile, and it's actually referenced in the Treasury paper just a couple of items ago as well, around the uncertainties around that, and also around the impacts it has for capital release as well. So we understand that it's a key uncertainty within the plan, and we don't have certainty on when the timing on that will be resolved.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Debt write-off, Christchurch Yarns Limited. Oh, you're conflicted on this one. So I'll move that. Do I have a seconder for it? David?
Just a question on these, this one and the next few. Do we have the ability to put a registration against the title or the security against properties that these people own, so that when they get sold, we get
The council was
reimbursed?
an unsecured creditor on this one. So I don't know what you're talking about registering a security against. We haven't got a security to register.
Most of these tend to be limited liability companies, which have very little ability for us to chase through. We've tried the debt recovery actions that are within our power, and we've come up short on these ones. There's nothing to get.
There's no legal instrument we have to put something on the land if it's developed or sold to get the money back, other than just moral persuasion.
Moral persuasion is the fall flat here too.
Right. I don't know how other councils feel, but I personally feel we need to be talking to probably central government around this. It seems like a gap that people can set up companies, liquidate, set up another company, sell off the thing with having these outstanding balances paid back to us, and we're having to write off the debt. Doesn't seem fair to me. Yeah, well, that's why I'm raising it, because it does seem to me that we need to think about some sort of legal instrument that attaches to the title or to the land around, so that if people were buying it, they can check. One of these cases, Housing New Zealand actually bought the property.
But the question is front-ending this, and rather than talking about it after the fact, because after the fact, if you've got an unsecured, if you're unsecured, then there is just no capacity if the money's just not there, because you're at the end of the line. And there's a lot of people who join the queue a long time before the unsecured creditors, and they are employees who are owed wages, holiday pay and redundancy, and I don't think anyone around this table would want to usurp that priority. So, and yes, that is true that the tax department's right up there, and so are the fees for the receiver. But I don't think that that's going to change either. So what I'm wondering is at the front end, so this was for trade waste charges, and I think the question is how did they get to the point of, how did we get to the point of being owed $18,000 by a limited liability company, and maybe that's the front ending of this, is that do we have to actually take a stronger position? Because I know that I've seen emails come through from people concerned about having to go on monthly billings and forward billings and complaining about doing that. But in actual fact, this is the cost of getting that wrong, and that is accumulated sums of money which then have to be written off. So maybe that's something that could come back to strategy and finance, Peter, is a report on the front ending of some of the risks around, or managing risk around, the accumulation of debt by limited liability companies.
I could bring back a piece on what we currently do to manage the risk at the front end,
Yep.
and get guidance from strategy and finance around those parameters.
Yeah, that's great.
3.7 on page 140, and I know it's a separate item, but it's all related to the debt write-off.
Well, no, it is a separate item.
Okay,
Let's
do you
deal
want
with
to
it when we get to global developments. So Christchurch Yarns Limited, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And now debt write-off, Global Developments New Zealand Limited. That's the one you want? Oh, sorry, Highfield Park.
Highfield as well.
Oh, God. Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? Okay, so tragically move that, seconded by Glenn. Is there any discussion about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure that, like, and the interesting thing about 7 is it makes the point there's no statutory land charge over the.
We're on item 6.
No, I know that, but in reference to item 6, which is $100,000 of rates you absorb, I'm just interested why there's no comment around not having a statutory land charge over it, and whether that's a mechanism that we can put in
Place, or whether it's something completely separate. I just don't know what that thing is. I'm trying to learn from how this keeps happening and put in place mechanisms to stop us having to incur this bad debt.
The reason there's no comment is it's not a mechanism that's open to us at this point in time, so I purely comment here on what we can do and what we have done and the outcome of that.
Yeah.
Are we not? Is there anything we can do through legal avenues?
We've exhausted our legal avenues. They're in liquidation, and there are no funds available for us.
Okay.
I know that there was a bit of a surprise that they were put into liquidation. I don't know that we were expecting that ourselves. I mean, I know that I got a bit of a surprise because, I mean, this development was one of the ones that I remember the first time I'd really heard of it was when they were basically, sort of offering, sections before they'd even got consents and things like that at a home expo that Sarah ran when it was first set up back straight after the red zoning decisions back in June. So this must have been in July 2011. Highfield was one of the developments that was actually sort of kind of presenting to the public at that forum. And I was quite surprised because I thought they were too early in the process to be actually publicly putting their stuff out there. But,
There was a view that council was holding things up.
Eh?
There was a view coming from that direction that council was holding things
Right.
up.
Okay.
Strong, but
The background set out at the bottom of page 138.
Yeah.
2011, then letters in 2013, legal proceedings in 2014, and proceedings filed in December 2014 as well.
Yeah.
It also raises the issue of people doing private plan changes over land they don't own. So some of this land is
Yeah.
owned by council, but they can still go spend all this money through a process.
There are multiple owners. I mean, it's a very problematic development, has been from the start. But anyway, yes.
But those costs were incurred before 2013-14.
So I didn't hear the first part of that, Councillor Buck.
Those costs, the ones that are unpaid, were all presumably included before 2013 and 14 when we were writing to them saying, "Oi."
I suspect that to be the case.
You kind of want to know that, wouldn't you? In looking at those things. Like if we're writing to them saying, pay us, and we're continuing to incur costs, you would want to know that had been stopped for in future.
Yes,
system.
yes. They're exhibiting the habits of a bad debtor that we're not continuing to
Yeah, well,
incur
can you
costs.
check that? Because 3.1 says between 2011 and 2016 inclusive council invoiced Highfield. But it would be good to know that all of that was prior to the letters beginning to be exchanged from late 2013. I'm sure it is the case, but it would be useful just to know that. And if you could just include that in your report back on the issue at the Stratton Finance meeting.
Good as gold.
All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Next one, debt write-off Global Developments New Zealand Limited. I'll move that. Seconded Jamie. Any discussion? Yanni?
Can someone just tell me what the statutory land charge is and how you actually put it on a property?
No, I cannot.
Oh, Ian, are you able to assist? If go and sit up with I'm sorry. Please take a seat at the end of the table, Mr. Thompson, because and make sure that the machine is on, because it just means that it can be heard through the system.
Am I good to go now?
Yes.
A statutory land charge is a bit like a mortgage in that it's a piece of paper that secures a debt and is registered against the title to a property. Not always available. There are rules around when you can and when you can't register a statutory land charge. I'm just not sure of this particular matter, whether it was investigated.
I'm not sure either. There was none on it.
Okay, so there may have been a good reason for that we weren't entitled to put a statutory land charge on it. But that's basically what it is. It secures a debt.
And it's like, if someone doesn't pay their rates, we send letters and we say we're going to put a charge against your mortgage and your bank and we're going to threaten with X, Y, Z. And that's for a tiny fraction of what these debts are, and we seem to have no ability to recover those costs. This doesn't seem right.
With respect to this one, the remedy is set out under 3.8, or the dual remedy in 381. That new processing check to ensure all fees are paid before they actually get the Code of Compliance certificate. That's a very big key and a big lever. And that process has been documented within that BCA quality manual now, and staff have received training. The other aspect, and that'll form part of what we report back to around strategy and finance, is that joint paper around count applications and a consistent level of scrutiny at the front end. So that's gaining the front end, and it's also ensuring we get the payment before the Code of Compliance. So that to some extent goes towards the concern that you have that we're left out of pocket and they can just then hide from.
So perhaps this was still a bit of a legacy on our loss of accreditation.
I wouldn't like to call why, but it certainly isn't something that we want to happen going forward.
No, but in terms of end-to-end process and ensuring that our interests are protected every step of the way, I mean, that wasn't the case when we lost our accreditation. So I just, I know that this happened in 2014 and we lost our accreditation in the middle of 2013, but we didn't get it back until the end of last year. So I just wonder if it's a little bit of a legacy issue.
Can I just clarify, is there any limit for companies, particularly new companies who have no history with the council, in terms of the bills that they can rack up before we start saying you have to pay this before we go another step further? Never mind about Code of Compliance.
Yes.
Why don't I bring that back to the strategy and finance paper so you can see the process there.
Going by the emails that I've received by somebody who's still on a month-by-month payment schedule, who is furious about it, who wants to go onto a proper accounting system, there are protections in there, but it seems that this is a much better mechanism for protecting, not issuing a Code of Compliance in these circumstances.
One mechanism.
Yeah, for this sort of issue.
But
and we
having
actively
got the Code of
manage
Compliance, they
our
still
debt
went through.
profile and the age of that debt, and we keep an eye on that through some of the reports you've seen coming through the.
That there is any sort of.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's a bit high in some of these instances.
Yeah.
Do we know if there's any other instances? Like, have we reviewed why this actually happened and whether there's any other instances of this?
We have reviewed why this has happened, and hence the remedies set out under 3.8 there. That was or the control mechanism that will stop this happening. Other than that, and the general processing check sheet that's being developed, that's a mechanism for it.
Understand whether this was part of like normal processing or whether this has just been someone just forgot or someone didn't tick a box and now we've got a check sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Would normally process these things. We were supposed to have payment before the certificate was issued, but just in this particular case, for whatever reason, it didn't happen.
For me to be absolutely crisp on that, I'd need to refer back to Mark Rich or Peter Sparrow around their processes.
And the final question for me, have we asked Housing New Zealand to contribute?
Yes. They did not say yes.
Did they give a reason?
They're not legally obligated to provide any recompense to us for this.
All right, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no.
Just,
That's
it says
carried.
2016 and 3.1, so probably just a slight change there.
Hey?
We haven't reached 3.1 under Highfield.
Yeah, that was the previous one. I noticed that as well. Haven't
Yeah.
done well there.
Oh, I see. It's probably meant to be 14 actually, but anyway. Yeah, but it doesn't make any difference to the document. Yeah. Okay, so I'll move the whole recommendation that the report as a whole be adopted, seconded by Paul Lonsdale. Put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Item number 20.